Hi, I'm Sarah from Heirloom Creations, and you caught me in the middle of a few little small wall hanging projects that we're using to show off how to connect binding together, how to put the little fast corners in for a quick, easy hanger, and also how to sew buttons on to make these some decorative trees. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you how you can have a binding that you don't see where the bulk is when you join it together. There's lots of different methods. This is the one I prefer. I actually learned it from Edna, who works here at Heirloom Creations. And so sometimes we just call it Edna's binding. And it's because it was the most easy one to remember. I didn't have to think when I sat down to do it. So what you're going to do is go ahead and stitch your binding on. And by the way, I always like to kind of start and stop on the left-hand side. Your eye tends to not go to that side. Your eye always goes to the right and to the lower part. So if you're going to do any starts or stops or anything you're testing, always test in the upper left-hand corner here. So along this side, we've stitched and left a nice opening. So in back stitch, because we're going to kind of handle these as we go. All you need to do is take a straight pin and put it in the edge of your quilt. That's just to mark how far we're going to slide over. We're going to take a mark and then slice it off. We're going to do one on one side and one on the other. Here's how you're going to measure. If you have a binding that's 2.5 inches, you've folded it in half, and this is 1 1/4 inch. These little quilts, I tend to do a smaller binding. It is cut 2 1/4 inch, so divided in half, that is 1 1/8. So on this quilt, we are going to measure over 1 1/8. So pretty much, if you don't know how wide or how far to mark over, just measure your binding width after it's been pressed, and that's the distance. Marking with my Frixion pin, this will iron out when I'm done. And then we just take the other edge. The pin is our starting point, so we know where to measure from. So I'm measuring 1 1/8. And now we're going to slice those apart. This distance is the perfect distance for joining these together. So all we need to do now is open them up, put our right sides together, and pin. We just put those together. They will match identically into each corner. Pin them up. I will usually pin here and here. I'm putting the pin in so you can see where I'm actually going to stitch. You're going to stitch corner to corner. Once you've done that, this is going to get trimmed off, and it'll come right back into position for the way it's going to look. Take a look at what we've got going on here. So after we've stitched, we can come in here and trim this off. We'll trim this about 1/4 inch, seam allowance like normal. You can take it to your iron or just finger press it open. And that's going to sit right there and then hug right down to the edge of your quilt, and then just finish sewing the rest of the binding on. Now, little trick, I'm going to go on just a little bit here. Some of these little quilts, I don't even really stitch the binding on. We're going to just press them, and I'm going to use a little glue based it, which is a water-soluble glue. It's temporary, so if you're going to wash it, it's going to come out. But I'm going to go ahead and glue it and then press it. The heat of the iron is going to stick it, and that's exactly what we got going on the back of this quilt here, and a partial of this. So check out our blog if you're interested in how these little quilts are made and also where they are actually getting auctioned off in 2013.